Hello, welcome to my channel. So today it's time for another Ukiyo-e sketch. This actor from the early 19th century. I thought he looked great. So today I'm going to use my foodie pen, which is angled at 55 degrees. I love foodie pens. This one's by Duke. You can see the pen there bent, the little nib is bent. And the beauty about the nib being like this is that it gives a great variety of width of line. Hold it at a low angle for a wide line. Hold it upright for a medium line and then flip it round to the reverse for a very fine line. So you can see with just one pen you get loads of variety. So the trick when you're drawing anything, whatever the subject, whether it's a person, a building, whatever it is to keep checking your shapes. So you look at your subject, you look at the drawing you're making, and you try to make sure that there are no discrepancies between your drawing and whatever it is that you're trying to copy. So I'm looking at this and I see that the hat I've drawn is not looking very accurate. So I've made it a bit bigger, knowing that I can fill it in with black and I won't notice any of those mistake lines. A little bit different for the face, it's a bit more delicate. And by the way, remember when you're filling in any areas with ink, if it's more than a tiny little area, be super careful not to smudge it because the ink does take a few seconds to dry. Once it's dry, the diatramentus ink, the document ink, is completely waterproof, but you do have to be a bit patient and wait for it to dry fully. So here I'm just getting on my drawing and I am eyeballing my drawing and the subject that I'm copying back and forth to make sure that the shapes look really strong and solid. If you do this really quickly, you'll really quickly notice any differences between your drawing, whatever you're drawing, and the subject that you're copying. So as you can see here, the foodie pen, the 55 degree pen, it's a terrific pen for these, for trying to copy the look of the woodcut lines of the Japanese ukiyo-e. So if you lean a bit more heavily, you get a thicker line and you sort of flick the pen up and you get a finer line. So here I'm using a really hot pink, I think it's called fuchsia. It's another of the diatramentus document inks. Here we are using it again. I was going to use red, but I couldn't find it, so the hot pink did nicely. I love diatramentus document inks. I have lots of colours. Diatramentus were good enough to send me a huge box of inks, and they are just great. I love them. As you can see, it gives a really great expressive line, and you lean a bit heavier, you get a thicker line, flick it up and you get a really fine line. So they look super. There we go, that's as far as I've got. So now for the flowers on the cloak, I'm going to mix two colours of ink together. So I have this lovely green, document ink green, and I'm going to mix it with document ink turquoise. Mix them together, give them a good shake around, and then suck up the resulting colour in a Sailor foodie pen. Okay, so it's another brand of foodie pen. Really, really nice line. Different to the one I was using before, but a really excellent pen. Won't break the bank. I've had mine for years and they're very reasonably priced. So here I am drawing those rather un-villainy flowers on the cloak for such a dastardly looking villain. He's got a rather jolly cloak, but you know, you can be a villain and still take your look seriously. Yeah, just waiting for this ink to dry, being super careful that my hand doesn't lean on any of the lines until they're bone dry, because I really don't want to have smudged lines. Just picking out some of the more delicate patterns here on the front bit of fabric just under the actor's chin. There's some little flowers, there's some nice wavy lines. Okay, so it looks like we're pretty much ready to paint. Everything's had a long time to dry. Just make sure, give it a good long time. So these are my paints. I use Roman Schmal's Aquarius brand. They're fabulous paints. They're artist quality, really, really strong pigments, clear, clean colours, and I love them. And I love the Rosemary & Co brushes too. So this is the Rosemary & Co R13 travel brush, super brush, mixed between synthetic and sable. Gives you a great blend, I suppose, of a point and a reservoir. So the point is the synthetic bit and the reservoir is the natural bit. So here I am putting down my colour, which is a mix between Payne's Grey and Phthalo Green Blue shade. And I painted directly onto dry paper, but if I had painted onto a wet surface, I probably would have had a smoother effect really. So if you look to see how I applied the paint here on the left hand side, you'll see that when you put it onto an already wet surface, you will actually get a much smoother result. So the most important thing to remember when you're painting a surface, if you want it to be smooth, don't fiddle with it while it's drying. You must resist the temptation to fiddle. Allow it to dry, and if it isn't strong enough, if you want to make the colour richer, by all means give it a second layer, but you must wait for it to be dry, completely dry, before you go with a second layer. So that bit there isn't exactly wet and wet, it was supposed to be another bit of painting onto a clean wet surface. So this little bit here, this colour is absolutely gorgeous. This is Aquarius Green, so it's one of the Roman Schmal signature colours. I love this shade of green. It's like a dark mossy green. And I thought it would look nice with the contrasting with the dark cold blue green. So I love this yellow green, and it's absolutely amazing for foliage. Highly recommend you get your hands on that green. It's brilliant. It's just doing a little bit of delicate work here. So coming close to the end of the painting. A little bit left to do. So the surface of the cloak could have been a little bit more smoothly done, but it's not too bad. So a little touch of purple. This is called Mineral Violet, and it's also by Roman Schmal. Absolutely gorgeous colour. Really love it. I don't get to use it very much, but I always love an excuse to use it because it's such a pretty colour. Really clear shade of purple. So just dotting in the little flowers in the middle of the pattern there in the front, and little bits of the dagger. Touching up any little bits that look too faded, too light. Oh, and a tiny touch of yellow ochre just for the central patterns on the sword. Oh, just realised I missed a little bit of the headdress. The white jelly roll, the white gel pen, Jelly Roll is the brand. Really, really useful. Make sure you have one in your kit because they're brilliant for picking out little details. And that's the end. So I hope you enjoyed that. Really, I suggest that you try one for yourself. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe for lots of art videos. And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye now.